Borussia Dortmund barely scraping top 4 football this year, especially right after a season where they made it to the Champions League final, it had me thinking about Dortmund's best players of all time and what that team would look like if they never left. Dortmund is known for bringing in young prospects and turning them into superstars, but every single time they end up selling them to the next biggest club. So today, we're going to find out just how good would that Dortmund team be if they never sold a player. If I could have chosen a manager, of course I would have chosen Jurgen Klopp, but Niko Kovac will have to do. And if you watch my recent videos, you would know that my mic has been completely messed up. So first signing here was Lewandowski, of course, great Dortmund player back in the day. Our second signing here, another player I never got to watch play for Dortmund, but someone who has been a standout player ever since. A center back who has won the Champions League with multiple clubs, and I'm excited to bring him in for this squad, for this video. It is Antonio Rudiger coming over from Real Madrid, and his center back partner in crime is going to be a player that recently moved to Manchester City and won the treble in his first season there. No, it is not Erling Haaland. You'll have to wait a little bit longer for that. It is Manuel Akanji coming over from Manchester City. This next player was at Dortmund back in the 2016-17 season, and it's someone who is doing quite well right now in their role at Arsenal. The Spaniard, Mikel Merino from Arsenal. Swap deal there, Julian Brandt heading over. Oh, and if this transfer fee ever happened in real life, there would be an uproar. But we're going to finish off this midfield with one of the best players to come out of Dortmund in recent years. They picked him up for 30 million when he was just 17 or 18 years old. Everyone thought that was insane, and he has turned out to be an absolute beast in the midfield. Both for Real Madrid and for England, he has made some very, very critical moments, and Jude Bellingham is coming over to Dortmund to do the same thing for over double what Real Madrid paid for him. And speaking of players that have been in form ever since they left, we have another one here at the right back role. Achraf Hakimi had a tough time at Real Madrid, and he did okay at Dortmund, but he has been a standout player and a crucial, critical player for PSG. Achraf Hakimi coming back to Dortmund and bringing over his teammate who has had a very, very rough time since leaving Dortmund until this year. Currently one of the top 5 in Ballon d'Or nominations because of his standout season at PSG. It is Ousmane Dembele. I'm excited to see what he can do now that he actually has some goals under his belt. And if you watched my last video, you saw that I waited a long time to sign this guy, and there was a reason for that. I knew he was going to be in this video, and I knew he was going to be in this video for a while. But when I think of players like Ousmane Dembele, who had a rough go after leaving Dortmund, I think of this man right here, Captain America, Christian Pulisic, coming over from AC Milan for an American swap deal. But of course, we weren't going to go through this whole video without signing Erling Haaland. In his 3 seasons at Dortmund, he made history, goal scoring records, Champions League records, you name it, he did it. And now he's doing it for Manchester City, and I'm hoping he can do it again for Borussia Dortmund as we bring him over for, again, like 3 times what Manchester City paid for him. But he's back once and for all. And here's a man that I didn't really want to sign. Now, Dortmund has bred some of the best players of all time. They've had some pretty decent prospects in their ranks as well. This man right here, again, was someone that I didn't really want to sign because of what he did in the Champions League final last year. Ian Maatsen is coming back as our left back. He's one of the best options for potential growth as well as current rating. But if he passes the ball to the other team in any of these finals, he's out. And it wouldn't feel right bringing back the best of the best Dortmund players, especially with our chances of winning the league with how good this team is, if we didn't bring back the GOAT. One of the most recognizable names in Dortmund's history, one of the most loyal players in all of football. It is Marco Reus. No, we will not be leaving him as number 15. He will take the 11 shirt, but he is back, coming back from LA Galaxy for a little swap deal. And you can't have Batman without Robin. Or I guess it was the other way around back in the day. We're bringing Aubameyang back to Dortmund for his last couple seasons. And that is all of the business I'm going to be doing before this first season. There are plenty of other players I could have signed, like Mats Hummels, Henrik Mkhitaryan, Mario Götze, you name it. I looked at them. I just don't need a full team of players that are going to be retiring at the end of the season. So we're going to find out once and for all, if Dortmund never sold their players, just how good could they have been. And here at the end of January in season number 1, we have hopes of a Bundesliga title, their first since what, 2011, 2012? 0 losses in the Bundesliga so far is a fantastic thing to see, 7 points above Bayern Munich. However, we were knocked out of the DFB Pokal by Hertha Berlin on penalties. Looks like we won the preseason tourney, if that counts for anyone, and we ended up 5th in the Champions League phase, heading straight to the round of 16. But this is how the team has held up. Haaland with 28-3, Lewandowski 17-2, and everyone is pitching in on goals and assists, it looks like. And in terms of growth, we're having a crazy year as well. Lewandowski, 36 years old, has only dropped by 1 rating. I'm okay with that as well. And our Champions League round of 16 draw is going to be Aston Villa. All right, here against Aston Villa, game 1. This team is looking strong. Let's see if we can do it in game 1 here. Let's find out. 3-1 win. I will take that heading into game 2. Game 2 here, 3-1 up. Let's get this over with. Let's move on to the quarterfinals. It was a close one, but we still have moved on to the quarterfinals. Now, we've been drawn against Barcelona in the quarterfinals, but I keep noticing Akanji is upset, and I figured out why. Schlotterbeck has grown to an 87, sitting on the bench. I think I have to let him have the starting spot for the rest of the season. He's just going to keep taking Akanji's game time anyways, and he's higher rated. I'm going to give it to him. So Schlotterbeck's in against Barcelona. Let's see what we can do here. Game 1, 2-1 loss. We need to come back in game 2. I was not expecting that. Right, game 2 in the Champions League against Barcelona. I want to move on to the semifinals. I want to win the Champions League this year. It's going to take a comeback. Can we make it happen? 3-1. We get the comeback with Lewandowski scoring the finishing goal to send us through to the semifinals. Thank you, Lewandowski. I'm glad I stole you from Barcelona. And our semifinal draw is against Liverpool. This is going to be tough, especially with Ousmane Dembele injured on that right-hand side. We brought in Jamie Bino-Gittens to fill that gap, but can we do it against Liverpool in game 1 here? 3-2 again. This is going to be a very, very tough second game. 3-2. We need another miracle like against Barcelona. I don't want to keep having to come back, but if this is the way we're going to do it, it's how we're going to do it. Come on, game 2. And it's a 1-1 draw. Gravenberch denies us the opportunity for extra time, and we are out of the Champions League in the semifinals. But we did have a player, it looks like, win the Player of the Season award right after the final match day. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Haaland. Let's see here. It is not. It is Lewandowski who wins Player of the Season. Wow. I need to see this goal tally because Haaland was like 10 goals above him halfway through the year. Lewandowski, 36 years of age, wins Player of the Season in his first year back at Dortmund. But we finally got Marco Reus his Bundesliga title. 1 year was all it took. Dortmund with 88 points. I'm pretty sure we actually won the league back in like April 20th is when it said we won. Borussia Dortmund dominating the Bundesliga. 0 losses, undefeated. But it's Bayern versus Hoffenheim for the DFB Pokal final, and it's Liverpool versus Manchester City for the Champions League. And Haaland with 37 goals, 4 assists, Lewandowski 28 and 8, but the 13 clean sheets may have given him the edge there. I'm not exactly sure. Haaland had more goals and assists combined. Lewandowski though, good job, Player of the Season, beating out Erling Haaland in a great year. Pulisic 22 and 10 though, that's the Pulisic I know and love. And Ousmane Dembele did fantastic, even with a little injury stint. I did have a signing I wanted to make next year, especially since I was expecting Lewandowski to completely drop in rating. I may still make this signing, but we'll see. But here we are. I want to see Reus celebrating with that Bundesliga trophy. Let's see it here. This is all we won this year, but it's more than enough for me. Borussia Dortmund winning the Bundesliga. This is more than I could have asked for, especially as a Dortmund fan who has watched them lose consistently since 2013. And I've made my decision here. I'm going to let Lewandowski have his one and done season, Player of the Season, Bundesliga champion, because I really wanted to make this signing, so I'm just going to do it. One of Dortmund's former players who is now getting his time in the spotlight, recently updated market value as one of the most expensive players in the world, and another Scandinavian striker, it is Alexander Isak. I remember back in the day when he first came over to Dortmund, didn't do that well compared to some of their other players, but I'm happy to bring him back here as an 88 rated striker, swapping for Lewandowski and letting him have some time in the Premier League. So this is the squad for Season 2, very similar to Season 1. The only difference this time is Alexander Isak up top over Lewandowski. Couple things we got to watch for this season though. Aubameyang and Reus are drastically dropping in rating. They only have 12 months on their contract though, so they won't last long. And our squad depth is a little bit rough this season. I didn't want to go too deep into signings, especially with there being not that many young players from Dortmund's ranks. But I do like where this team is sitting, and I'm hoping for big things again in Season 2. But our first game of the season is for a trophy against Bayern Munich. It's just a matter of how bad they want it. Let's see here against Bayern Munich. First game of the season, 3-1 win. We're going home with the trophy on day 1. And our Champions League phases here, starting off with both Madrid clubs. October is Hajduk Split, November Juventus and Inter Milan, December is Sporting, and January is Copenhagen and Club Brugge. Why did we have to get all the big clubs in the same months? And once again, we've made it to the end of January, and we have 2 players injured, Rudiger and Dembele, which is kind of classic for both of them. But we are top of the league yet again. This time it's a little bit closer. Bayern only 2 points behind us, and we do have 1 loss this time around. We are into the quarterfinals of the DFB Pokal, but we placed first undefeated in the Champions League this year. I am very happy with that. And while Holland is having a great year, Pulisic 25 and 15 is crazy work from the American left wing, up to a 90 rated. Isak is producing pretty well for his first full season, and Dembele injured again. I think it's only 9 days though. But both Royce and Aubameyang are dropping quickly in rating. They won't be in the team much longer. All right, here in the Champions League, round of 16 against Atletico Madrid. We did all right against them in the league phase. I'm hoping we can do okay against them here. Game 1 here. It's a 2-1 win. We'll take that. We just got to solidify it in game 2. All right, Mikel Merino has a red card here in game 2. So thankfully, Felix Nemeka, 85 rated. I'm happy to put him in there. Let's see how game 2 goes. We're up by 1, and it's a 1-0 win. We kept that energy. Let's get into the quarterfinals. And this is going to be the quickest domination you've ever seen in the Champions League. Losing 3-2 in the first game, and then we just go and win 5-0. How is that possible? And we are back for a Champions League semifinal. We played them in the quarterfinal last year, semifinal this year against Barcelona. We no longer have Lewandowski. He's off at Newcastle. This team is insane. I'm hoping that we can cleanly get past Barcelona. Game 1 here, 2-1. We are down, of course, and they have Paulo Dybala and Granit Xhaka apparently. What is this Barcelona team? Either way, we need to come back in game 2. This game 2, the team is complacent. We've just won the Bundesliga, but I need this to continue into the Champions League. I need us to move on to the final here. Semi-final against Barcelona. We're 1 goal down. Can we move on to the final, please? 2-0, and we lose. 2-1, sorry, but we lose on penalties with Royce and Pulisic missing their pens. Oh my lord. We have lost. We are not going to the Champions League final again. And once again, we have given Marco Reus a Bundesliga league title, but there's only 1 trophy up there. So I think that means we lost everything else once again. So we won the Bundesliga with 2 more losses than last year, but it's still a big win for us. But Bayern wins the DFB Pokal again, so it'll be another Super Cup against them next year. And Barcelona did go on to beat Villarreal in the Champions League final. Very, very unfortunate loss for us there. Holland with 45 and 10, Isak 32 and 12, Pulisic 30 and 20. That is 50 goal contributions for him, 55 for Holland. Bele 12 and 17 as well. Crazy numbers from everybody this year. Rudiger is now 33 years of age. Akanji's 31, I believe. So Leonardo Balerdi coming over from Everton, 27 years old, 83 rated. Second backup signing here. He's currently labeled as a left mid, but I'm going to be converting him to an outside defender. It is the 25-year-old Spaniard, Sergio Gomez, coming over from Sociedad. And a final signing here, only making 3 this time around. A player that I loved watching at Dortmund, and I was really sad when he left. I was hoping he would become our next big thing, and he has done just that for Frankfurt. It is Angsar Nauf coming over from Frankfurt for 20 million, 80 rated. Once again, we're in the Super Cup against Bayern Munich, and once again, let's see how it goes. We won 3-1 last time, and we lose on penalties this time around. Not a great way to start the season. Champions League phase, starting off a little bit easier than last year. PSV and Monaco in September. October is PSG. November is Spurs and AC Milan. December is Olympiacos, and we finish off with Celtic and Dinamo Kiev. And hold the phone, I was waiting for this. I knew at some point one of our players was going to win the Ballon d'Or with those numbers, and of course it was Erling Haaland winning the Ballon d'Or in season number 3 for us. 55 goal contributions last year in 50 games was just crazy, and he definitely deserves this award. And again, here in January, somehow Bayern has dropped off crazily, but first place for us, 10 points above Leverkusen. If you remember, we lost the Super Cup on penalties, and we're still in the DFB Pokal, so I'm hoping we can go further than quarterfinals this year. But we barely scraped top 8 in the Champions League, so we're going directly to the round of 16. But this time around, it is Isak taking the mantle of top scorer. Holland right behind him, 22 and 7, Isak 24 and 8, and Pulisic doing well, but definitely not as good as last year. We have some of the best players in the world in every single position, with our lowest rated starting 11 players being 89 rated. If we can't make it at least to the final in the Champions League, then this is just rigged. And our Champions League round of 16 draw is against Juventus. By the way, we have a 92 rated striker and a 94 rated striker and 2 91 rated wingers. If we can't score enough goals to beat them, I don't know what the problem is here. Let's see, game 1, 4-1, Holland, Pulisic, Dembele, and Holland. Almost all 4 of our attackers scoring. I'll take that. We've got a 3-goal lead against Juve here. Let's see if we can just hold that lead and move on to the next round. We were close to losing it. 2-1 is not great, but we move on to the quarterfinals. In short, I am currently fearing for my life. Do you think I'm going to win this game? No. Can we move past the Champions League giants just to get to the semis? I just want to make it to the semis again. Can we do it against Real Madrid? Also no. But once again, we took the Bundesliga by storm. 4 losses this year. We're increasing in losses every year, but we're still winning the league, so I'll take that. Super Cup final win to Bayern this year, but we took the DFB Pokal over Leipzig, and the Champions League didn't even go to Real Madrid. It went to PSG. Haaland, though, 42 goals, 17 assists, 59 total goal contributions for him, 33 and 11 for Isak, 21 and 14 for Pulisic, and Dembele as well, with goals and assists galore. What an attacking lineup we have here. Bellingham hit the 95 rating mark, and Rudiger is finally starting to dip in rating at 34 years of age. This team should be going to a Champions League final. I'm not sure what else we can do here other than more backup signings, but again, this team is way too good to be getting knocked out in the quarterfinals. And only one signing being made this year. It's at the left back spot because we don't really have too many backup left backs, and Sergio Gomez is not really wanting to convert right now. Still has quite a bit of time left. So Tom Rotha is the only semi-decently rated player, 80 rated, coming over from Athletic Club Bilbao. Super Cup this year is against Leverkusen. Let's see how this one goes. We lost to Bayern last year, and we beat Leverkusen this time around. Champions League phase is here again. I really don't want to get drawn against a big club in the round of 16. Either way, we start off with Dinamo Kiev and Inter Milan. October is PSG, November is Villarreal and Feyenoord, December is Liverpool, and January ends off with Sporting and Club Brugge. And this season in the Bundesliga has not been so easy. Bayern, Leipzig, and Dortmund are all within 4 points of each other. We do have a Super Cup under our belt, and we are still in the DFB Pokal. Champions League this year, another undefeated year. We are first place, so we better come against somebody a little bit bad, right? Somebody a little bit bad, not a Real Madrid. Isak 26 and 6 and Haaland 21 and 12. Pulisic with 17 goals this year as well. The squad is doing quite good overall, still in second place somehow though. And our round of 16 draw is against Sporting. However, Isak has a red card, so it is Maximilian Bayer going up top for this one. Can we take it in game 1 here? Let's find out. 2-0 is a great start. All right, second game here. Isak is back and ready for action. Let's find out, can we take it into the quarterfinals? 1-1 does it. We're going to the quarters. And of course, our quarterfinal game is against Real Madrid. Who could have guessed it? All right, man. Game 1 against Real Madrid once again. Can we go up in the first leg? We do. 4-2. Haaland with a hat trick and Dembele with a goal. That's the first time we've done that. All right, game 2 against Real Madrid. We're up by 2 for the first time ever. Can we move on to the semis? 2-1. That is not how we wanted to move on, but we do. We're moving on to the semifinals for the second time. Only the second time. And our semifinal matchup is against Barcelona. This is going to be a tough one, man. Let's see how game 1 goes. Can we go up at least? 2-0 is great. Can we do it in game 2 is the real question here. If we can at least hold our ground here, we will move on to the final for the first time in this video. And looking at this team, we should have been in a final a long time ago. Can we do it here against Barcelona? Game 2, 2-1 win sends us to the final. We are doing it finally. A lot closer than usual years, but 10 points above Bayern, I'll take it. And we won the Super Cup this year, so that's at least the domestic double, technically, but we also won the DFB Pokal 2-1 over Leipzig, so domestic treble, I'll happily take that. And we can thank Haaland for where we're at right now. 41 goals and 18 assists, 37 and 17 for Isak, 26 and 5 for Pulisic as a winger. Is crazy. This is what Dortmund could have looked like if they never sold a player. Imagine the Bundesliga titles, imagine the Champions Leagues, but we may not have to imagine anymore after this next game. We have a problem here. Ian Matson has a red card, so Tom Rotha has to come in for the final against Arsenal. And here we are, Champions League final against Arsenal. It is kickoff. Let's get this win, and let's give this squad what they deserve. But Arsenal scores out of nowhere in the first 10 minutes. What a shot that was. I am stunned. I was just watching the game, expecting nothing there. What a goal from Lois Openda. We are now down 1-0 in this Champions League final. We've barely touched the ball so far. Haaland has it though up top. We're starting to make a push towards the goal. Isak gets the ball into Pulisic. Pulisic takes a shot and racks it off the crossbar to tie it up within 6 minutes of the last goal. Christian Pulisic, Captain America, gets us level. What a shot from there. I love this angle, by the way. Off the crossbar and in. What a shot from Christian Pulisic. 1-1. Are they going to get another freak goal before halftime? Ball's in, shot, saved again. Can we clear it? We can't clear it. We do get the ball out finally right before halftime. It is still 1-1 heading into halftime. And this team is still looking pretty strong. Rudiger is a little bit tired. I'm tempted to sub him out. And I think I will for Manuel Akanji coming in to take over for Rudiger in this Champions League final. But that's the only change I'm making here. Our players are still doing pretty well all around. I just don't want Rudiger to get too tired and not be able to get him into this game. Let's see what we can do here in the second half. 1-1. Mikel Merino and Bellingham are taking over this midfield right now. We get the ball up to Haaland, top of the box. He turns, gets a shot off, and it is saved. Arsenal on another attack here. Can we win the ball back before they get a shot off? Let's find out. We do win it back. It is Tom Rotha who gets the ball back there. Very clutch from him, the 82 rated left back. And Mikel Merino's trying to lead this counterattack all by himself. Bellingham in to Isak. Isak takes a turn. Can he get a shot off? Gets into the box. Haaland, goal! Isak to Erling Haaland in the 83rd minute to score potentially the game-winning goal in this Champions League final. Solo dribble from Isak, taps the ball into Haaland as soon as he makes the run, and that is a perfect shot into the back right corner. We may have just won this Champions League final by the skin of our teeth. Arsenal has possession. They want a goal here. Can they get the ball into their striker? They get it up and over. Can he get a shot off? Not a good one, and it is saved by Gregor Kobel. 3 minutes left to go. If we can just keep possession, we've done it. Tom Rotha gets the ball, of course. Gotta let him have his moment to shine. And Captain America Christian Pulisic still wants to get a goal here. Pushing up the field into Isak. We actually keep the ball. Isak dribbling everyone. Gets a shot off. Nowhere near. And that may have just been the final whistle. I think it was. It was. It didn't show me any celebrations, but we just beat Arsenal in the Champions League final 2-1. There it is. 2-1 win over Arsenal. I want to see the celebrations here. We won the quadruple in season number 4. How fitting, right? Season 4, quadruple, 4 trophies. It's only going to show us 3. Look at that. We have won the DFB Pokal, the Bundesliga for the 4th year in a row. We've won the Champions League finally. But although it wasn't complete European domination, I would say this team dominated quite a bit in this rebuild. And this was the final squad of Dortmund past and present players that just won us the Champions League final. Only 2 players from the current team stayed in the lineup, and that was Schlotterbeck and Kobel. This was a super fun rebuild, and I hope you enjoyed. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below what other past and present teams you want to see in FC25 Career Mode. With that being said, I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you next time. Peace.